Today I want to show the new branch and merge module in Matrix. So I'm having a project here which I want to branch off. For example, because I want to make a big new feature which I'm not sure will go into the next release. Or another typical use case is that towards the end of a release you start testing, and while you're testing you already want to have some people work on the next version. In both cases what you do, you go in the admin client, you select the project, go and create branch or copy, you specify the ID. I use the same ID as the main project and I had a postfix branch 1. I choose a project name and then as a mode I use make branch connected to this project. I could include the history and copy to some specific date in the past, but for now I just make a copy of a project as it is right now. So that created my branch, which I can open in a new tab. So here's my new branch. If I refresh the client, I can see my branch in here underneath the mainline project. So that's why I've picked the same ID with this postfix to make that happen. So now the first thing, if you're working with branches, is the following. If you create a new item in a branch, it creates here marketing requirement 14. If I now create a marketing requirement in the branch, it creates marketing requirement 15. So it uses the next available ID. And that way we can make sure there's no clashes if you create new items in the main line and the branch. Each item will keep its IDs. If you create documents or tests, you always have the correct IDs everywhere. So now I did a change in the main line and another one in the branch. If I would now want to copy the changes from my branch back in the main line, I would go in here in the mainline project, in my tools, audit, merge, and I select my branch in here. So now it tells me what changed. There's one change in the branch, and that basically tells me that was a new item generated. If I want to see what that item is, I can click on here and I can see the details. And by the default, as it's a new item in a branch, it will be selected to be merged back in the main line. Then the other change is that an item was created in the main line, and here there's no action necessary because it exists only in the main line. Now I do next. There's no changes in traceability, and I didn't change anything besides creating one item in a specific folder, and I want to create that new item which I made in the branch. I want to put it in the same folder in the client. So now I can do the merge, and the merge will actually create the new item, which is marketing requirement 15, under the same ID in here. So that's the item which I created in the branch. So now once I merged, I can continue working with it. I can, for example, make a change in here. And I can update the same item in the branch. So now, once I modified the same item in the main line and the branch, if I go back to the merge, I can see that I have a conflict in here. And that basically comes from the fact that I modified the same item and I need to choose which version is the good. Here is the item before I started modifying it. That's the change I did in the main line, and that's the differences in the branch compared to the main line. So now I can choose to either ignore the change in the branch, so I keep the mainline item, Or I can say I want to take the changes I did in the branch. And then I move for the other parts. And now what it did, it updated again my requirement 15 in the main line with the version for my branch. So the other thing the module does is that it takes care of the traceability changes. So if in here I select system requirement and I go back to my merging page in here, nothing changed in terms of content, but it will find out that I created a link from a marketing requirement to a system requirement. And again, I can choose to create that link or ignore it. By default, it's checked. And now it again did the merge, and it tells me here what happened. And like this, basically whatever change you do here in the branch, for example, if you delete an item, you will be prompted if you want to also delete it in your main line. Once you're done with your branch, what you can do is you can either remove access for all people from it, so it will actually not be visible anymore in here in the menu, or you could also delete it, and if you need it later, you can restore it. And you can create any number of branches, and you can also create branches of branches. That's it. Thanks for watching.